And I think for, especially again, if it's a different game and you're trying to separate yourself from the pack, like having you start off with two Eevee evolutions is nice. Like I think it's a good idea. Um, it also means as well like you're like different things are threats to you early on. You know, um, like it's not really a problem in this, in a sense, because bugs are still shit, and they won't get better until Gen 5. But even then, if someone has like a pin missile attack, yeah, or Silverwind or something, you're kind of screwed because like both your Pokemon are weak to bug. So like you do your team does kind of have a natural Achilles heel to it, um. But I suppose that also kind of gives a strong indication of what the character's like, because like he's not going for a generic starter here. Now obviously we got gifted a Totodile in the end, but that's or Crocodile I should say, but that's a kind of beside the point. He's not intended to start off your battle.
Yeah. I do remember Umbreon played a lot slower in this than I would have remembered. Like Espeon is a bit of a glass cannon, but he can hit hard, but he will be frail. Umbreon just will took forever to die and forever to kill something.
That is absolutely true. And again, I am a known Espeon apologist. Like I would, if you give me a choice, I will go against grain and pick Espeon instead of Umbreon, because I'm that kind of guy who I just can't deal with how fucking tedious Umbreon is. You know, it's just like no. It doesn't have any good moves. It's just defensive tank. Like I'm not gonna do what fucking Karen in the Elite Four does and just poison you and wait for you to die. I can't do that.
Yeah.
My ADHD says otherwise. That being said, however, it is probably thanks to Umbreon being a starter in this that you're actually able to snag Pokemon adequately, because Espeon works out as your damage taker, basically. It's like if you wanted to take whittle something down, Confusion or Sliding probably works. Return like caps at a certain point, and it's also like the attack stats. So it's not as if you're going to be killing things in one hit either. Likewise with Swift, if you want to whittle like two things down at the same time. What Umbreon's very good at is essentially stalling the ball, like because you might take a couple of bites of the cherry in order to snag something. Because again, bear in mind, you're still trying to catch a Pokemon, so like they're not guaranteed to just get a first time if you risk a Pokeball. So no matter what happens, like Umbreon's going to be able to tank hits, and so far it's been quite light on Pokemon that it's weak to. Like there's very little fighting types around, there's very little bugs around, so Umbreon's normally able to take whatever it can whatever's around. So yeah, it's like it has a really important function to the gameplay here because it's so defensive.
Yep. No, absolutely.
Yeah. Again, it's just nice to have a different experience. You know, because like I said, I'd be the same. I wouldn't touch Umbreon in terms of my regular team at all, because like it's too much of it's just too much of an inconvenience, you know. But then again, I've never gone for ultra defensive Pokemon. Like in Gen 4, every time somebody would have a Bronzong, I go, oh for fuck's sake, and I'd have to just like plow through it. I couldn't see myself doing like, here's Bronzong, here's Rain Dance, here's Misery Room, here's this fucking move. I was like, oh, just leave me alone.
Okay.
You know.
I think in our defense, when we played both as kids and as teenagers, there wasn't exactly a big like competitive. There wasn't like a big competitive urge with anyone that we knew.
That's true. Yeah, we weren't to know what good strategy is. Like the good strategy when we were kids was have the biggest moves in the biggest Pokemon, then win.
Yeah.
Like we weren't fucking polishing EVs here, you know, the kind of way. Like if we got like if you got a Blaziken with a good nature, you win. You know what I mean? Like it's not that fucking complicated.
And that was my start in college. was part of that introduction for me. Was like, um, oh, you play this for more than just everything gets you earthquake everything.
Yeah.
And I can remember being like, so I had gone Gens 1 and 2, and I had skipped Gen 3, and I'd only picked up Gen 4 in college. And I can remember someone sent out this gank thing called Darkrai, and just swept the fucking floor at me.
Oh, but fucking Dark
Because my attitude was, oh yeah, I remember playing these back in the day. Oh, what the fuck is an ability?
Yeah. I'd say it'd be kind of mad now. I'd say like if you were someone that like skipped a couple of gens, like there's been so many like minor changes over the years that like if you're to jump in now after let's say 20 years, like you're kind of out of your depth. Like a lot of things are just like completely clueless to you, you know? And likewise, if you do the opposite, if you start off at say if you started off as Scarlet and Violet, for example, you know, and try and go back to Gen 1, like that's a bit of a culture shock in its own right because like you're so used to having to like, you know, check moves for like if they're physical or special, you know, types not existing yet and that sort of stuff. So, you know, both things would affect you.
Even to the point of having you being told this is super effective or this isn't. Like,
Yeah.
I think for all the slack Gen 7 got, it had some of the best like UI and UX for like, okay, where am I going and how do I navigate my way through this fight?
Yes.
It had some of the cleanest bit for that, whereas now like back in Gen 1 you'd have to like pen and paper beside you. If you're trying to
also, like, especially even in Gen 1, like even the actual mechanics of that doesn't even work because like an ice beam is super effective against Charizard because it's still blind type. The fire, the calculations doesn't factor in the other type. You know, it's that sort of stuff. And then at least like in fairness, most of that stuff got fixed with Gen 2 anyway, really. Which is why like, you know, the perhaps the best like classic Pokemon experience is probably Pokemon Crystal. Maybe Ruby and Sapphire at a stretch, you know, because like there's not much. There's abilities and stuff like that. But if you want to just go for like a proper like nuts and bolts Pokemon experience, you're gonna go with Gen 2 because it's just like a revision of the mechanics of Gen 1 without any fuck ups.
I do think that Gen 2, like I have been a massive Gen 2 apologist even.
Yeah.
Where I will say Gen 2 got so much of it right, and the experience for Gen 2 set the bar so much higher than what we've seen since.
Agreed, yeah.
But I do think a lot of that is, I remember it from Heart Gold, and I'm misremembering what was in the original Gen 2.
Okay. Well, okay, so for someone that I haven't played Heart Gold and Soul Silver for one, but I will still agree with your point in the sense where like Gen 2 kind of made it feel like, okay, first off, it was kind of a sequel to Red and Blue.
100%.
In a sense where like obviously you get to see Kanto, you get to see all these different areas, and it outright says to you, like 3 years ago, this guy showed up and won everything, you know, and that was it was nice to see a bit of continuity. But again, like it's a sequel where like you were the former hero in a sense, so like you're playing you at the end of the game essentially, and it's a totally a bonus battle. You don't have to do it if you don't want to, and I think it was just a kind of a novelty of being able to go back to your proverbial haunted grounds and like do all these gyms again, but slightly different, and you know, have a similar like playthrough with it. Now obviously it's heavily truncated because they ran out of space in the end, so they couldn't like fit in basically a second game in there. But that's where probably Heart Gold and Soul Silver came into play and put in.
Yes. Yeah, and that is absolutely one of those areas that it like, so things like, let's say, Viridian Forest was cut down in Gold and Silver, whereas it's the same forest that you knew in Heart Gold Soul Silver. So details like that.
Yeah, like stuff like the Safari Zone is closed because it didn't have space for it. you know,
Safari Zone was
that's-
closed in Heart Gold, Soul Silver as well,
yeah,
but they gave a different, worse Safari Zone in the other one in Heart Gold, Soul Silver instead off the coast of Chuck, off the coast of that town.
Okay, right. Yeah, I vaguely remember there was like well, yeah, because in Crystal that was where the battle tower was, and like that was like kind of like, oh, this is something new. I like this. But yeah, again, it's that kind of thing where like it just was so different back then. It was like, oh, here's in Pokemon Yellow, we can give you some extra content because we added a little bit more to the memory boards. Like, like now it's the case where like, okay, now you have to kind of like deny you like content for like, you know, purely like logistical reasons, you know. The luxury of being able to like actually tailor make your Pokemon adventure based off whatever arbitrary aesthetic you want to go with, and whatever mad shit you come up with in between the generations.
Okay, actually, wait. Ding, 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 ding.
You okay?
Yeah, just watching.
Yeah, so we're back in this area again because there's basically rumblings of like of a hideout near this.
Yeah, I was going to say in your catching up with this again. Did you go back for a Mirror B? Or did you go back and redo that Mirror B fight again?
Oh God, no! Jesus, I wouldn't put myself through that again.
That like, was spectacular, though.
But it was, but like we've already done it on the playthrough. Like there was no like the reason I went back down there in the first place was that so one of the few things that like are definitely different in my playthrough than there isn't is that basically I haven't kind of fallen into the trap of like, you know, picking the plot relevant item first and then activating the cutscene. So what I have learned very much is the case in this game, and I want to say it's a little bit of a design flaw, is that basically when you're done with the area plot wise, let's say, or you've gone to the wrong place, let's say, and some of the enemies just reactivate, and you basically have to battle them again. Now, it's not particularly bad in some places because obviously like their dialogue activated, so you just have to talk to them again and you battle them, and obviously that works for two reasons. One, you do need to grind in this game in certain places. I don't feel it too badly in this because I basically try to keep things fairly equal between everyone. But the second reason obviously is like you need like to have another go at capturing shadow Pokemon. And as I learned from the menu there, you have a nice little list of keep track of like which trainers have which like Pokemon. So if you miss your chance the first time around, you could possibly get it the second go around. And you mentioned that when we captured Entei, whereas like this is your first chance to get an Entei, you might get a second chance later on, but it'll be harder. So
yes,
suits you to kind of go again. So the issue with that is that if you do kind of lose track of the plot, the trainers that are kind of activated by like, you know, motion essentially, like that guy there that was at the stairs earlier on, like he will, if we try and go up the stairs, he will go hostile every single time rather than just once. And that's like, okay, that's really, really annoying because I don't know whether I have to go up here or not, and you're basically just like being a fucking pest, you know. So that's one thing. The second thing as well, like, so obviously when I said the plot relevant items, I've learned that like, okay, this is where the game works on, like, if you click on this, you move on to the next bit of the story. So I'm finding everything else first before I click on the gimmick. So when we were in that Mirror B area, we obviously you have to find the Plusle afterwards, and there was a like file in there, but it's a bit of plot relevant file. There wasn't anything unusual in it, just telling us the gimmicks of like, you know, having to, you know, heal the shadow Pokemon and all that sort of shit. But there was an item in there which was a Macho Race. It was like, okay, I probably needed that, to be honest, so thanks, you know. So So there's one or two items like that where like, okay, we probably could have done with this at the time of the playthrough. So who knows?
Oh, the under.
Yes, we've gone. We found some Stranger Things.
I did a rewatch of that there a week or two ago in the lead into it's going to be out again like later this year.
Yeah. I'll be honest with you, never got into it.
Yeah, fair enough.
Just got to get past it, to be honest. Like I'm fairness, I am infamously terrible at watching TV series. Like so, I am not one to be to see as kind of like, you know, inspiration for for what I need. So.
Well, I've learned from like Game of Thrones the hard way. Don't bank on things coming, getting long series getting good endings. But
That is very true. Yes.
but cautiously optimistic.
It's often the case where like it's like, okay, the show has gone on too long and it's gone too popular, where like just the collective conscience has come up with a better ending than we have. So you better just forget about it. I think the real key is trying to make your show go that little bit irrelevant, so then when you do have a nice satisfactory ending, no one cares.
Yep. Or make it so short that you can just like write everyone off at the end of the show, end of the season.
I mean, that also works as well. Like, I mean, like some of my favorite series are around like 20, 30 episodes long. Like you can play through it in a day, and I think that's, again, perhaps that's just my brain chemistry, like not taking in any more information than is necessary, or it's a case of like, no, I actually kind of like a concise story. You know, I don't like it when like you add layer upon layer of things just for the sake of it, because like realistically, it is just kind of window dressing. But you know, sometimes it is a case of like, and again, probably ties into Pokemon in a sense. Sometimes you just want an easier experience, an easier watch, let's say, or an easier play. Sometimes you can get bogged down in the technicalities and the lore, and not end up not enjoying it because then the most basic things don't make sense. You know, like we all know the Pokemon lore, but like, does it affect you if you're thinking about it when you're playing a game? It probably shouldn't, really.
Skitty has always annoyed Burkbot. It should be psychic type, apparently.
It's because of the colors.
Yeah.
In fact, there's a lot of Pokemon that are like that as well. Like every generation there was a normal cat. Like you had Meowth, then fucking Skitty, and then like Purloin. It's like you don't need any of them really. Like you just need.
I love that animation for Jigglypuff. Sorry,
isn't it brilliant?
Yeah.
It was not just so fucking good.
This got some of the animations that this one was put in have been absolutely fantastic.
Again, it proves that the ability has always been there to give these Pokemon actual life. But again, it's just like the studio was not able to do it, or not willing to do it. You know.